Hey everyone, Howie Fisher from Fisher's Flies. Thanks for checking in. Today I'm going to be tying up a balanced leech, which is a really solid still water pattern, as well as various other situations. For the hook, I'm using an Ahrex Freshwater 555 in size 12, and I'm pairing this with a pin or nail and a 3/16 or 4.6 millimeter tungsten bead. To get started, I'm going to start my thread, which I'm using 140 Denier in olive. And I'm just going to go ahead and get that started right behind the hook eye here. It doesn't necessarily matter because it's all going to get covered up. I'm going to take my thread all the way back to the bend of the hook and then all the way back to the eye to build up a little bit of a thread base to secure my nail and bead to. So once I get it back to right at the hook bend behind the eye, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pin with my bead already on it, and I'm going to measure it out, and I'm going to secure it loosely. And the reason why I do this is because I like to tie a lot of these at one time, and so I'll take one that I've already made and I make sure that the pin length are all the same, so that way they all swim and float the same, but they also all are tied the same. So I'll go ahead and make sure that pin is where I want it, and then I'll go ahead and hit it with some Zap-a-Gap or super glue, whatever you use. And then I'll go ahead and really make sure that everything is covered up and this pin is secure by taking a lot of wraps, making sure everything's covered up, like I said, and making sure that glue is covered. Once I get it where I want it, I'm just going to go ahead and bring my thread to the back of the hook, right by the hook bend again. And I'm actually going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of a paper towel right here to just get some of that extra glue off before I do that. So for this fly, I like to tie a tail in, and for the dubbing here, for the whole fly, I'm using Arizona Simi Seal in bronze peacock. But Canadian olive is another popular color for olive color, but there's so many great colors out there that a lot of people like using. Some are better for other places than others. So try them out and see what works best in your local water. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some fibers here. You can see I'm going to tie these straight off the back to create a type of tail. And this is really just to create a longer profile on this leech. I'm then going to take some wax here. I'm using low tax wax from Loon. And I'm just going to take that same dubbing material and I'm going to build up a dubbing noodle. And the great thing about this fly is that it's pretty much really just one material. And as you're creating this dubbing noodle, you don't want this to be a super tight dubbing noodle. You just have to get it on there a couple times, or spin it a couple times. As you can see here, it's not super tight, super fine. It can be super messy. It doesn't truly matter because you're going to end up brushing all of this out. So again, your dubbing noodle doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be enough to make it to the head of the fly. And once I get it to the head of the fly, I'm going to go ahead and take a couple wraps, and I like to brush this out before snipping, whip finishing and snipping my thread, so that way sometimes if you don't add enough dubbing at the head, when you go to brush out the dubbing, it can pull the material out or back away from the bead and it can leave a gap. So like I said, I like to brush this out before whip finishing in case there is a gap there. I can always add a little bit more dubbing to fill in that gap. Once I've done that, I will whip finish it. I like to do it 2 times and then add a little bit of head cement. Here I'm using Solarez Bone Dry. So I'll go ahead and give it a little touch behind the hook eye there and hit it with the UV light. And there you have it. You can also replace the tail on this with some marabou or other similar materials. But go ahead and fish them up. Let me know what you think. Thanks.